Let's face it, the furry fandom is inescapable, and there's probably a million different ways that you've heard about this community, whether you're already in it, or you just got here, or maybe you're still on the fence about joining. I thought it'd be fun to put together a list of the several different ways that one may hear about this community and decide to partake. The first way one might be introduced to the fandom is by actually being accused of being a furry. Maybe you're someone who likes drawing funny cartoon animals, maybe you like watching these animals, and your friend decides to see this and say, "Hey, are you a furry?" This is quite common. I know plenty of people who have been accused of being a furry, and then they're like, "Whoa, what's a furry, pal?" They look it up, and they're like, "Wow." And as much as I hate being a Debbie Downer, especially with this being the first one, I'm placing this in D tier. The problem with this way of being introduced is that it all depends on your friend's stance on the fandom. Maybe they really do like furries and they're just, you know, pulling your tail or whatever. But a lot of the times when friends are like, "Haha, you're a furry," they're doing it in a not so nice way. And by discovering the fandom in this way and realizing, hey, I actually like this thing, it might tear apart your relationship with this person who was trying to get a rise out of you. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, though, we have joining via a friend. Maybe you have a friend who is already in the fandom. Maybe they're dressed up like this, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, look what I'm doing. It's a lot of fun. You should come join." And you're like, "Wow, this is a lot of fun. I'm gonna be a furry too." This is going at the very top. S tier. Like I said, opposite of the spectrum. Because not only have you just been roped into this amazing community, and you have a new hobby that's making you happy, but you're doing it with your friends. And I can tell you, as someone who wears this thing a lot, I am at fault for a lot of my friends partaking, so sorry guys. Not sorry. The next way one might hear about this fandom is by hearing about it on the news. This is not the best way to hear about us. The news is a bit biased. The fact is, the news has been laughing at furries for a while now, and that's why I will be placing this method in C tier. Because it's just kind of a gray area. By hearing about furry this way, you might not hear about all the greatest aspects. And sure, it's great that you're now interested in the community, but you just haven't experienced the goodness of it. Like I said, very lukewarm, but I promise you're gonna love it here. The next way one might hear about the fandom is by finding furries in the wild. And no, I don't mean literally like going out into a forest and, you know, hunting season. What I mean is, maybe you're in public, maybe you're at the mall, maybe you're walking down the street, and you see one of these bad boys just strolling down, going about its day. Maybe there's a group, and they're all having a wonderful time. You see that, and you're like, "Whoa, what is that?" So you march on over, and you're like, "What's going on here?" And they're like, "Hey pal, we're furries." I know a lot about this because I do love me some public suiting. This is going in A tier. This is a fantastic way to hear about the community because you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. I know, having been in these groups before, it's very exciting telling people interested in this community about all the wonderful things we've done, all the fun you can have, the charities we've donated to. Next up, and similar to the last way of hearing about furries, is finding furries at actual events. Maybe you're at a comic convention and you see the big fluffy animals walking on by, and you're like, "Wait, that's not from a comic." Maybe you're at Pride and you see the big fluffy animals in the parade. You're like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Maybe you've even ran into a fur meet at your local park. This is going in S tier, a step above finding your furries in the wild, because at an event, you are actually there to socialize and hang out with these wonderful creatures. You get to have an awesome time. Maybe you can even become friends with a few of these furries. And now that you're very interested in this fandom, you get to see these folks at a furry convention, if you decide to attend. The next way of hearing about furries is by discovering furry brands. Now, what do I mean by brands? Maybe you're shopping online for funny t-shirts, and you find, whoa, Hyena Agenda? Whoa, Camp How? Maybe you're on Etsy and you see these cute, adorable stickers by these independent businesses. These are furry-owned businesses, and this is a fantastic way to hear about the fandom. S tier. Because not only are you getting roped in our community, but now you are supporting artists And that is what our community is all about. And trust me, the clothing brands in the furry fandom are amazing. Like, I could wear those shirts all day, every day. My wallet is crying. Hell. The next way one might hear about furries is through internet trends. And this is another kind of lukewarm gray area for me, but it is slightly better, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Because there are a lot of ways these trends might go. Sure, there are the not so fun trends where it's just blatantly bullying, but there also are fun trends where you might see furries, I don't know, dancing, doing something silly, and you're like, hey, I like this, what is this? I know me personally, one big way that I saw this community existing back in the day was through the furry versus gamer war, if you remember that. It was very hilarious and silly. I wish I could go back and participate in it with this pal right here. And finally, this is the last way to join the fandom, at least on my list, and it is joining cold turkey. What do I mean by this? Well, you've probably seen YouTubers do this a lot, where they're like, I'm gonna go to a furry convention. What I mean is, you know little about the community. You just got here, you've done no research, but you just heard one day, oh, there's furries? All right, let's go see the furries. You book a plane ticket, and you travel to this furry convention, and you just join cold turkey. Maybe you're crazy enough to immediately get a fursuit. And this method, I honestly can't rank. I thought about it a lot, and honestly, I just can't. I have to say that it depends. Because some people are just really excited to join the fandom, and they're just gonna jump in and spend a ton of money and make a ton of friends, and they will have a good impact on the community. But on the contrary, there also are those influencers who you see online, like, I joined the fandom and I got kicked out of this convention. Look at these evil furries. It's just a mess. Do you see what I'm saying here? But you know what? Despite my rankings here, I don't think it matters. Yeah, I said that. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I've been saying it a million times, we're a community, and that's what matters. It doesn't matter how you got here, how you heard about us. What matters is we are all here together, celebrating our love for silly animals, donating to charities that help animals in need, and I could not be more proud to be a part of this fandom. But how did you hear about the community and join in on the fun? I'm curious, so let me know in the comments. My name is Costa, and I am out of breath.